I saw a TikTok video. And after I saw that TikTok video, like I said, I follow a lot of people, good folks that have fact-based information. And what TikTok does is it rewards you by sending you other people giving that kind of info. And of course, I fact-checked everything. And I did with this as well. I want you to listen to this woman. And for all of you who have corporate insurance, corporate health insurance, I want you guys to listen to this lady, and then I'm going to go over a few things with you. All right. So let's go ahead first and listen to what she has to say.
My insurance company is lying to me. I've been fighting with my insurance company all year to get them to cover a expensive but necessary surgery. And I was interviewed a few weeks ago on NBC to talk about the fact that my insurance continues to deny my expensive surgery. NBC reached out to Cigna, my insurance company, to ask for a comment. And in their public comment, they stated that they had a lipedema specialist, which is what I have, look at my case and determine that I don't have it. Now, that's the first I heard of them having a specialist look at my case. So after the interview goes live, I call Cigna and I say, hey, I'd love some information. I'd like to know who this doctor is, what their specialty is. I'd just like to confirm that this is a lipedema specialist, since I've had two diagnoses by other lipedema specialists. So I'm confused. I spend hours on hold, and lo and behold, that person doesn't exist. They made it up. So I submit a complaint with my state insurance commissioner, because that's illegal to have your insurance company lie to you. Cigna's response to the state insurance commissioner was that my plan was self-funded, so it doesn't fall under Utah's jurisdiction. And if I want to do anything about it, I need to appeal to the federal government. So of course, I email my insurance broker and ask them what this means. And they tell me it's not self-funded, it's level funded. I bring this information back to the Utah Insurance Board and ask them what that means. And they tell me level funded health insurance is not health insurance. It doesn't count as health insurance. What this means is that if you have employer funded insurance, if you're getting insurance through your employer, it's likely not considered insurance by the government. They call it an employer benefit. Why call it insurance if it's not insurance? Obviously, this is my situation in my state and my insurance provider, but if you have employer funded insurance, I would definitely make sure that that is actually considered insurance by your state, just in case you get into a tricky situation like me.
Okay, so what I did, of course, like I told you guys, I take nothing at face value. Reputation is everything and is everything. So I went and did the research, spent quite a bit of time on it. So here's what I found. Yes, it is true that some employer-funded health insurance isn't deemed insurance by states. Some employer-funded health coverage is not legally considered insurance under federal or state law, and this creates confusion for workers. The issue usually arises with self-funded employer health plans and certain limited benefit plans. So here how it goes. Self-funded plans. Many large employers do not actually buy a health insurance policy for their workers. Instead, they set aside money to directly pay medical claims themselves, often hiring a private insurer like Aetna, Cigna, or United Healthcare only to administer the plan. These arrangements are called self-funded plans, regulated under the Federal Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Because they are not technically insurance, states cannot regulate them the same way they regulate traditional insurance companies. That means that the state consumer protections, such as mandated coverage for certain services, often don't apply. That's why they could lie to her. Limited benefit or accepted benefit plans. Some employers offer mini-med plans, fixed indemnity coverage, or supplemental accident disease policies. These are not considered comprehensive insurance under the Affordable Care Act. They don't have to meet requirements like covering pre-existing conditions, essential health benefits, or providing an annual out-of-pocket maximum. In many states, regulators explicitly warn that these arrangements are not true health insurance, even though workers may assume they are. The consequences? Workers may believe they are insured only to find out their plan excludes major categories of care. States often cannot intervene if the employer plan is self-funded leaving federal law as the only protection. Insurance companies acting as third-party administrators can give the impression of traditional insurance, but legally, they aren't on the hook for the risk. Your employer is. Some states have sued or issued advisories about deceptive marketing of non-insurance products bundled with employment. In short, yes, in many cases, what looks like employer-provided insurance is not considered insurance under the law. It's a loophole born of ERISA, preemption, and ACA carve-outs. That's the Affordable Care Act carve-outs. And it weakens consumer protections for millions of workers. So I want you guys to understand this. These things this is real. So what I did is I then did a search, right? I did a search and I said, let me find out of well-known companies that people think they have great insurance from. Do they really? So I checked out these companies. And here are the big companies. IBM, their insurance plans are self-funded. Are they considered insurance by states? Are they not considered insurance by states? They're not insurance according to states. Intel, self-funded plan. Not considered insurance by states? Yes, they're not considered insurance by states. Boeing, yes, they are self-funded, not considered insurance by states? Yes. Walmart, let me just put that up on the screen so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing here. Para ver, let me get that out here. Put it on the screen just so you can see that I'm just calling these out. Walmart, self-funded plan, yes, not considered insurance by state. So all this stuff is saying you have no state recourse. Cigna, well, that's different because Cigna, it says yes by 80%. And then, of course, CVS Health. So I think it's important for us to understand that with all the advances we made, ABC Radio, I don't know, Joe, I'll have to look that one up, but but with all the advances we've made in healthcare, the corporations, even as they were formed, even as we were putting the ACA together, they all went out there to say, allow us to screw the American people one more time. Think about it. I want you guys to think about where we're at. The only answer is Medicare for all. That's the only thing that covers everything and says they can't pull these shenanigans over us. Medicare for all. Americans, my brothers and my sisters, we have to start demanding. People say, we can't get Medicare for all. There are too many stakeholders that want otherwise. That's not true. We have 330 million stakeholders and a few hundred insurance companies that are stakeholders. We are in command if we use our power. We are in command if we use our power. And it is essential that we do so because this is bankrupting Americans. Americans are living their lives to pay bills to enrich a few. All those raises in healthcare costs, inflation in healthcare costs is simply additional growth for the wealthy. Remember that. The extra money you pay for healthcare, the extra money you pay for all these services every year, that isn't that these services inherently cost more. That is because the wealthy who own the stocks in these companies want a growth rate that is larger than the growth rate of the economy. And when you have a growth rate in one section larger than the economy, that is a definition of how one gets inflation. So we pay more so that the wealthy can have a bigger piece of the pie. And as the pie, you look at the pie, and as the small amount of people who are wealthy keeps getting a bigger piece of that pie, the multitude, the many of the rest of us continue to get less. That's a rentier's economy. That is an economy of indentured servitude. That's an economy of the antiseptically enslaved. And I don't say this to be I don't say this to be hyperbolic. I say this because this is the way it is, and there's only one way to change this, and we all have the power to do it, and we can start right now.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.